Why Joseph Gordon-Levitt has chosen to align himself with these people is beyond me.
All these people are so mad at TikTok for having free speech about Gaza. They're ruining the entire internet because of that.
We do need to build power online, and the internet is the most powerful, communication and organizing tool of our time.
It seems like they're just fucking with queer kids and trans kids.
We should be breaking up these companies. We should be regulating them in ways that actually affect their business models so that we can have a less profit-driven internet. Somebody like Joseph Gordon-Levitt coming around and saying stuff like this should be so insanely unacceptable. Like, he should be getting dragged so much harder than he is right now by everyone.
Today, I am virtually in my talk show studio because I have the illustrious, fantastic guest, Taylor Lorenz.
Thanks for having me.
Of course. So Taylor is a tech journalist, and she's always getting attacked by insane people on Threads and Twitter.
Sometimes I deserve it, probably.
Whatever. We all deserve it sometimes. You have been reporting on Section 230, and I was watching your live the other day about it, and you were like, oh my God, why is Joseph Gordon-Levitt trying to censor the internet? I thought it was really interesting and funny and scary and had a lot of overlap with things that I complain about all the time, which is celebs not knowing that they're doing evil things. Let's just say evil things.
Yeah, it's very evil. To repeal Section 230 is bad. It's very bad.
These well-meaning celebs who think they're doing a good thing. So tell us what's the deal.
So Section 230 is the most important law on the internet. It's basically known as the First Amendment for the internet, and it protects user-generated content. It is the reason you can leave a negative review on Yelp. It's the reason you can leave a book review somewhere. It's a reason there's comment sections on websites. It's basically ensures that you as the speaker of content are treated as a speaker, and that the platform is not held liable for your speech. This is so important, because if platforms were held liable for user speech, they would only publish speech that is not going to get them in any sort of legal trouble. So they're not going to publish anything critical of power. They're not going to allow for any criticism of really anybody. It's just going to be just dumb sort of slop all day. So we want free speech online, and Section 230 is crucial to it. It's the 30th anniversary of Section 230 this month. And for as long as it's existed, we've had these far-right religious fundamentalists and other people that don't believe in free speech online want to sort of dismantle it. This is the core of Project 2025's tech policy agenda, is dismantling Section 230. If you've ever heard of a law called FOSTA SESTA, that was the first and only amendment to Section 230, the major amendment that it was about removing content, facilitating sex trafficking from the internet. What it did is actually, according to some studies, put 10% of all sex workers in America, SESTA FOSTA made them homeless. It actually made it devastating for abuse victims. It made it significantly harder to find any sort of human trafficking on the internet, and it led to the mass censorship of adult content. This is why Tumblr banned porn back in 2018, and mass deplatforming of LGBTQ content and reproductive justice content online. Basically, Section 230 is really important. You should do everything you can to we do not want to amend it in any way. We have to protect it. And Joseph Gordon-Levitt, for whatever reason, wants to dismantle it.
I think people remember FOSTA SESTA. If not, I remember when this was happening, and I would see ads all the time of I don't remember if she did it, but I want to say Dax Shepard's wife probably did one.
Kristen Bell. Yeah. And they got a lot of celebrities
because they
involved,
go to these celebrities and they say, we're making PSAs to protect kids from getting abused. And then they say, oh my God, yes, I love kids.
Well, they've endangered tens of thousands, if not, hundreds of thousands of children now. And to the point that these lawmakers that pass FOSTA SESTA don't even want to associate it, won't answer questions about it. They want to act like it never happened. And I think it's a scarlet letter. I think there should be trials for people that passed it. Personally, I think it's one of the worst pieces of legislation we've seen really maybe since the Patriot Act.
Yeah. Before the show, we were looking at the Heritage Foundation's website and their stated goals. And like, it sounds like when they use the code words, we're protecting kids from trafficking or protecting kids from sexual content. They want you to picture like the worst child molestation. What they actually mean, though, is like, we don't want trans kids to see a get ready with me video of a just regular trans person and know, oh, I could be a trans grown up.
They declared the Super Bowl halftime show that just happened last weekend pornographic
That's
content.
insane.
Anything that's not Christian nationalist content is sort of pornographic content. I mean, sex ed content, of course, LGBTQ content, of course, but also content about feminism, also content like, again, anything that's not like hardcore Christian nationalist is pornographic. And if there's a bunch of girls twerking in front of Bad Bunny, you know, that's pornographic. But it's just all based on like extreme far right fundamentalism. And why Joseph Gordon-Levitt has chosen to align himself with these people is beyond me. Hold big tech accountable. Do you know who's one of the biggest lobbyists? Do you know the reason that FOSTA SESTA passed? The reason that FOSTA SESTA passed in the end was because Meta lobbied so hard for it, and Sheryl Sandberg lobbied to get it through.
Exactly.
Meta not only did Meta produce a white paper arguing that Section 230 should be repealed, but they published blog posts. They had their VP of product write about this. Mark Zuckerberg has advocated for this. They have run ads in Washington advocating. Big tech wants to repeal Section 230 because if they repeal Section 230, our business models don't depend on free speech. They depend on data harvesting. And if we have to pre-screen every piece of content, we can harvest massive amounts of data. You know who can't do that stuff? Who can't pre-screen every single piece of content for legal liability? Like forums for cancer patients, forums for Alcoholics Anonymous, you know, support groups, like forums for LGBTQ youth, like all of these other like the internet is vast. It's not just like Meta and Google, although that's how they want it to be. So for him to say all of this under the handle of hold big tech accountable is like, it's just disgusting.
And it's like the phrase hold big tech accountable, and it's obviously funded by big tech itself. Like they have think tanks, they hire marketers and advertising. Of course, they're going to come up with great names for anything that's bad.
Well, yeah, it's like the Patriot Act or something. It's like they name everything like the Freedom and We Love America Act, and it's like the biggest assault on our civil liberties, you know, that we've ever seen.
So on the Heritage Foundation's website, it says they want to empower parents in education. We know what that means. Protect the unborn. We obviously know what that means. Secure America's borders. Counter the threat of communist China. Hold big tech accountable.
Well, he's got their slogan right there in front of him while he's up on stage.
The obvious thing is like, all these people are so mad at TikTok for having free speech about Gaza. And so
yes,
they're ruining the entire internet because of that, because they don't want kids to learn about Gaza, to learn that trans adults are living happy lives, that gay adults are living happy lives. I'm a comedian and like an actor. In the past couple of years, there's been times that I've seen comedians and actors post screeds or share articles about how TikTok is so horrible. And I'm like, you know, they're saying this because of Gaza. Like, they're not saying that out loud, but that's the whole reason this article is written.
Well, they did say it out loud. Let's not forget the co-sponsors of the TikTok ban, Warner and Gallagher, said that out loud at the Munich Security Conference last February. They said, we banned TikTok because of Gaza. And then Mitt Romney came out and said it as well.
Exactly.
Like, they are saying it.
But then I see these comedians and actors who are, you know, just kind of stupid. They don't really do any research. And then they share this stuff about TikTok is so addictive. We need to put a stop to, and honestly, the whole reason they're upset is because they don't have that many followers and other people have gotten famous on TikTok. That's really the only reason they don't like it. And unwittingly, they're like spreading pro-Israel propaganda that like we have to shut down this app. And that has driven me crazy. And it's been like really hard to talk about because if you call this out, you'll look like a hater or, you know, what are you doing? You're accusing someone of, you know? So It's just I've been trying to talk more shit and more normalize, like, "Guys, if we see crazy stuff, we need to call it out," instead of being like, "Well, I wanna work with Joseph Gordon-Levitt one day, so I shouldn't say anything."
I mean, I don't care if I ever work with Joseph
Exactly.
Gordon-Levitt one day, so I
Exactly,
don't
who
have to work in the
cares?
entertainment industry, thank God, because if these are the types of people that I had to interact with, and talk to tech policy about, I would kill myself. It's just it bothers me so much because I'm just like, these are the same people that when the Jimmy Kimmel stuff happened, all these, entertainment people come out of the woodwork to sign this letter of we want free speech, we stand by the
Yeah.
free speech. And then as you mentioned, you turn around and you're like, okay, so do you support, strengthening Section 230? Do you support, like, are you going to fight for this or this? Oh, no, 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 no. What pisses me off too, and I was talking to a trans woman who runs, one of these activist groups today. He's never spoken to a single, like, he says in that video, his follow-up video today, the reason that, Section 230 reform has failed, which again, he doesn't know about FOSTA SESTA, crazy. But then he says the
Right.
reason that Section 230 has always failed is because of big tech, advocacy. The reason it's failed is because trans people, sex workers, disabled people, people that are harmed by this have put their lives on the line. They've showed up at the Capitol. They've literally done everything to kill these efforts time and time again. And unfortunately, we're not successful. And we saw what happened with FOSTA SESTA again, 10% of
Mhm.
sex workers going into homelessness and skyrocketing rates of sex trafficking and all this stuff happening because of this.
What I assume is some of these people just, their egos are very delicate, and it would be so easy to just go up to them and say, "You're such a good guy, and
Mm.
you always stand up for awesome causes. We would love for you to be the face," and they would just be, like, so flattered and like,
Yeah.
"Oh my god, of course," without reading, like, anything about
He's
it.
also a Zionist, apparently, according to reverse
Okay, well,
Canary
there we
Mission.
go.
So I think there's that aspect too.
And
Yeah.
you mentioned earlier that Amy Schumer used to be the face of this
Yes,
whole
oh
thing,
my God.
but I guess they let go of her for being too
Oh,
obvious
I
in
don't
what
think
the
they let
game
go of
is.
her. I think she would probably still support this. I tweeted this earlier today, but like this is what she was. Oh, you can't see it. It says amend CDA to amend section.
Good lord.
It's just like this like
Yes,
corny
because she
PSA.
cares so much about,
Oh, she
internet.
cares so much about free speech. But
Yeah.
the Zionists have been on this train along with the Heritage Foundation. Like these people want to censor the internet. Again, they got TikTok banned.
Mhm.
Like he has no, and I'm not expecting everyone to be like a tech reporter that's covered it for 15 years, but it's like
Sure. Mhm.
you are out here telling senators what to do with your platform, pushing this to millions of people, and you don't know basic internet history. You don't know the most foundational internet history. It's actually so egregious.
So he's, like, fear-mongering and saying these things that kind of on their face might sound true if you don't think about it for more than a couple seconds. Like he says, these algorithms create like an environment for conspiracy theories, or they make people
Well,
so
conspiracy theories like what?
angry at one
People
another.
in Palestine are being
Exactly,
murdered.
exactly.
If he actually had a problem with algorithms, why is he supporting a law that would mandate more data harvesting? The way to mitigate the effect of algorithms is to seize back control of our data and to pass comprehensive data privacy reforms so that these tech platforms can't target us with increasingly sort of like, content that's targeted to like trigger us at the right moment at the right time and sell us on things and keep us up. Like that's why we need data privacy reform. That is the exact opposite of what he's advocating for.
I just want to point out that like so much of this stuff is like obviously paid for by Meta, because just like anecdotally as a user of these apps, and most people I talk to agree that like on TikTok before the sale of TikTok, um the conversations were not as heated
Mhm.
as you would find on Meta apps or Twitter or any
Mhm.
kind of American app. You would see more like left and right, like insane fighting and death threats, whereas TikTok, all the time, I would see very thoughtful videos where someone could lay out like very nuanced ideas of, I used to believe this ideology, now I believe this ideology, and people debating and explaining things to each other in the comments. Like, not to be a total stan, and I don't want to give them ammo saying, "Oh, this girl's clearly brainwashed by China." But, like, it's so obvious to me that these American apps, especially ones owned by Meta, are the ones causing all the harm. Like, they ruined our elections, and now it's just like everything is them trying to do press to like distract us from being mad at them for everything they've done.
Well, they don't want laws that actually hold them accountable. Like, that's what's so infuriating with this like idea. And what I was getting so mad about this week, and like I get mad about constantly if you watch my videos, is like the left has completely abdicated the tech policy sort of conversation to the right. So the far right, really since 2015, has made tech so central to their power grab. And this is why we have like tech fascism now. But they not just like recruiting people in Silicon Valley into their ideology, but also like seizing power and control of these platforms, like Elon Musk buying Twitter, like forcing the sale of TikTok, all this stuff that they do, building their entire alternative tech ecosystem of Rumble, of locals, like all these like alternative. They have like a conservative Amazon, Kick, yeah. And we have nothing like that on the left. And in fact, leftists have been completely disengaged, aside from, again, the people that have been directly affected. Most leftists are completely engaged. And every leftist lawmaker, like tech is not something they're talking about, as ICE is leveraging more technology than ever as well. And so I just think we need a baseline level of tech literacy at some point on the left.
Yeah.
If we're going to fight these laws and engage in these fights, because you do see these people. Like, it should be totally, enough people on the left should understand Section 230. Again, like literally the foundational internet law. That somebody like Joseph Gordon-Levitt coming around and saying stuff like this should be so insanely unacceptable. Like, he should be getting dragged so much harder than he is right now by everyone. But I think a lot of people don't even know. They're like, what is that? That's complicated. Well, shouldn't platforms be liable? I don't know. It's like, oh my God, you don't even understand the basics. So then we get nowhere.
Well, something that I complain about all the time is that like the right is so good at like media, internet media, Rogan bursts, all of that stuff. And whenever I see a liberal celebrity or a comedy celebrity, all they do is say, Rogan cost us the election. Theo Vaughn cost us the election. And I want to scream at these people because they're so much more famous and more powerful than I am.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you should start a fucking podcast. Hello?
Yeah.
Or if not you, like,
or
help other people that are making podcasts like that on the left. But the problem is, and no one wants to say it, they are still waiting for Hollywood to pick them. So they don't want to invest in like Patreon podcasts. They don't want to make a new Cumtown. Like, they could do that. And if that kind of thing got popular, then Joe Rogan would get less popular. Like, that's obviously what needs to happen. But no, everyone just wants to pat themselves on the back saying, yep, I think Theo Vaughn is stupid. Okay, great. But what are you doing about it? Nothing.
Or they do some stupid corporate podcast where you see a lot of this now, where they accept a lot of money and they don't challenge power in any meaningful way.
Only celebrity guests.
Yes.
Only celebrity guests. They don't talk about Gaza, Epstein, anything that might upset anyone.
Yeah. Because it's not profitable. And fundamentally, it's a profit endeavor for all of them. And it's not about building power online. And that's what I think people do need to realize is like, we do need to build power online, and the internet is the most powerful, communication and organizing tool of our time. Just like a lot of these people that complain about social media all day on the left, that are like, Twitter is brain poisoning me. I'm like, okay, are you on Mastodon? That's a platform that is distributed. It's on the Fediverse. It's each sort of community self-moderates its own. Like, that is all of these things that you claim that you want. You could be over there with us, and you're not. It's just me and a bunch of other like weird tech developers mostly, and like, some journalists and stuff. But like, and that's not to say, like, I'm just saying, like, a lot of these people just kind of want to complain, and they don't want to actually do anything about it. They don't want to organize against these laws. They don't even want to change their own user behavior. So I just don't think we're going to see, I don't know. It makes me very like frustrated, because I'm like, wait, guys, please get it together.
And it's hard because, like, I'm not just going to point my finger at everyone else. Of course, I'm also guilty of, like, I joined Blue Sky and I joined Threads, but then more people like your stuff on Thread. So then I slowly stop using Blue Sky.
Yeah.
So like I get,
It's
you
hard to
know,
build an audience, and, like, I'm not saying that you have to be on there building audiences. I'm just saying, like, I think it's good to be intentional where you do choose to build your audiences. I think it's good to be intentional where you do choose to spend time, and just be critical. Like, even if you are gonna use all, and I use all these evil platforms. I'm on Twitter more than anyone, but, like, but also just, like, fight the laws then too. At least get involved. At least make it completely politically toxic to even talk about reforming or repealing Section 230.
something that I worry about is that there's so many people out there who just, you know, they grew up in America with a bunch of propaganda and they simply don't know about Gaza. Unfortunately, it's just the case they don't know about it. And so they might see someone talking about it and they're still thinking like, "Oh, is this person anti-Semitic or is this
But not
person
do you
like."
think, okay, I was like that because I grew up very propagandized and I had no idea about the Israel stuff. I really,
I think a lot of people, honestly, I
yeah.
think a lot of people still are like that, but they have learned to adopt like a liberal cocktail party, like, "Oh, it's so sad what's happening
Yeah.
there," but they don't actually know.
That's deeply depressing. I'm just kind of like,
Sorry.
how do you watch a live stream genocide
I
and
know.
still feed denial? Although people are still denying like the pandemic, which is ongoing and killing all
Yes,
these people
yeah.
around us. So they'll deny anything. But yeah, I mean, I just feel like we do have to break people out of those bubbles, hopefully. I mean, I
Yes.
think the internet,
Yeah.
and you mentioned TikTok, like TikTok has been one of the most powerful tools to do that. And I think that's obviously, I mean, it is obviously why it got banned. Um, but it is scary because if we don't have sort of alternative like information ecosystems to educate people and to get news out there, it's like we're just going to see more and more censorship.
You're an independent journalist. Do
Yeah.
you get threatened with lawsuits ever? How
Yes.
do you? Yes,
That's why I
okay. So
write for
then what
mainstream media
happens?
still. Like if I write anything, like when I did that story last year about the Democratic dark money group that was paying, I don't know if you ever
Yes,
a
yeah.
wired.
Of course, I saw
I know
this,
they made
yeah.
it like a huge story for 6 weeks. I was like, okay.
Well,
Um,
I think paychecks just came in a couple days
I saw
ago
that.
because people it were talking about it again, and it was like, "Really? I thought you guys talked about this
Well,
already."
the Kamala HQ, that sort of new group that's
Oh,
they're
yes,
they're running a
the
big
hub.
paid Democrat media thing. And actually, right now
Yeah.
today, that Cory Booker had 100 centrist liberal influencers at to Congress to, tell them a bunch of dumb stuff. I don't know if they got paid to be there or not, but I'm sure they got some reward for it. But anyway, so for something like that, because those are like litigious groups that are funded by billionaires, like I'm gonna write it for and I write a lot for Zateo. I'm a columnist at Zateo. So yeah, they're amazing. But I try to like if I am gonna do like investigative journalism, I try to do it for I also just want someone to edit me. I'm not somebody that can do like I love Ken Klippenstein, but like he has a full-time editor that like works with him. I don't like everything. I make everything myself. And so if I'm going to do reporting, it's like I need an editor to look it over cuz
Yes,
you know.
that makes sense.
So
So the things where you feel like there's less risk of getting sued, you'll do independently on your website.
yeah, I mostly do like my newsletter is just like a roundup, but and then like my YouTube, I am not doing I'm usually just like talking about things or doing interviews or whatever. And I'm not like if there's something defamatory, I'm like I try to be very careful about it. But again, this is why I care about speech law so much because I want the ability to speak freely and to continue to report on the things I do. And I have a series on my YouTube called Free Speech Friday where I talk about tech and civil liberties and tech policy and stuff.
Well, okay, so these chorus people. Also, the danger with stuff like that I feel like I don't see people talk about enough is like it just takes some paid people to put out an idea. And then it's these well-meaning but ignorant people who aren't paid that then spread an idea. And that can be anything. That can be pro-Israel propaganda or any type of propaganda. And that's why I think it's so important for like people like me, comedians or creators, like to be making like the left media that combats it, because if you don't, like it's just going to grow and grow and snowball this all the right wing or centrist talking points.
They do get so much money, which is frustrating because there is no money on the left. Like,
No,
there's
no.
none. And it's hard when you see these people, like these centrists, getting, just sometimes tens of thousands of dollars a month, if not, hundreds of thousands of dollars a year, like for saying just pro DNC stuff and basically ensuring that you're never going to fundamentally question like the Democrats or imperialism or mention Gaza or whatever. Like, I I think that's a bad system. And I think, I mean, what the reason I wanted to do that Wired story too is just to have a conversation about transparency. Like, it's crazy that there aren't transparency laws around this, and the ones that we do have are not even being enforced.
And so when the people are hating on you about that stuff, it's like they'll say, these repeated talking points of like, oh, she's being divisive, or oh, this is infighting, and that type of thing. And like, I was just watching one of your videos and you kept repeating over and over throughout the video, like, don't despair about this stuff because we can fight back.
Yeah, that's
Like,
like the whole thing.
you're really not someone that's like infighting and like causing chaos. It seems like your message is like, hey, let's all organize and fight against these rich losers. It's not like,
No, also I'm an optimist. I'm like a delusional
yes,
like optimist about technology. I love technology. I love like I mean, this is the reason I'm a technology reporter is because I like am fundamentally like a tech optimist in the sense that like I do think we can build a better world through technology. I would hope that everyone on the left would agree with that, although increasingly a lot don't, and understand why when you look at the tech industry. But technology as as a concept is not bad. Like even if these companies are
sure.
bad, and like we can use technology to do a lot of amazing liberatory things, and I want people to like get involved and have a pro tech like sort of vision of the future for the left that has like a proactive message, that isn't just like you know like kill this law, kill this law, kill this law, but like let's also put in place like amazing privacy laws. Like let's also put in, let's also, by the way, like do antitrust enforcement. Like we don't prosecute. We lost. I couldn't believe last year I was getting so mad because we lost, the two biggest antitrust cases um, that we've seen in years against Meta and Google. We had the chance to undo the Instagram deal, to take Instagram out of Meta's ownership. We had that chance last year and we lost it. And when we lost those cases, and I'm not expecting every like leftist commentator to like cover tech news, but like to me, I'm like, how is that something that you guys aren't covering? Because like
Yeah.
that is something that we should be talking about. And we should say, wow, the government just fucked this. Like they really dropped the ball because like we should be breaking up these companies. We should be regulating them in ways that actually affect their business models so that we can have a less profit driven internet. But instead they say nothing. And then we get like this kind of like hold tech accountable slop from like Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
And like that kind of propaganda can work easily on people because so many people, they say, oh, my phone makes me crazy, or I spent too much time on my phone today, and that makes me personally feel bad. So it must be bad for society at large. Like, that's like an incorrect conclusion, like, yes, it makes you personally feel bad because you've been on your phone arguing. But as you say, like, phones, they don't.
Well, you can use your phone in a million different ways. Like, this is why the concept of screen time is like very silly. Fundamentally, people have a problem with the content. I'm all for people having healthier habits around interacting with people. I will spend all day fighting with people online sometimes. And then I'm like, why did I even do that? Like, yes, like it was yesterday, the day before, I was just like, these two people made me so mad. And I was like, fuck you. Like, da, da, da. And I was like, why am I fighting with these like random people? Like, like whatever, we all have those days. But that doesn't mean we should dismantle civil liberties on the internet. You know what I mean? It's like, no. And also part of the reason we're feeling this way and we feel bad when we use our phone, we feel bad when we spend time on these platforms is because they're hyper capitalist hellscapes. And if we had, like, people talk a lot nostalgically about the earlier internet, but that was a less profit driven internet. And we can rebuild those systems, but we have to target the actual profit sort of centers of these tech platforms. And I have to say, also spend some time on, these corny little sites, maybe blue, maybe not Blue Sky, but maybe somewhere else, like somewhere that makes you happy. Maybe you find like a little community or a Discord or whatever, like, just try to spend time in places that like nurture you instead of just, you know, the worst sort of places. But I like to argue sometimes too. So it's like sometimes you just do want to be on Twitter and argue.
You've written a bit about how like dispelling some of these myths that phones do this and that to kids, or
They don't.
phones
I mean,
make girls hate
the
themselves or
broader
whatever.
issue that people don't understand is that there is absolutely no correlation between causal correlation, I should say, between social media use or phone use and mental health issues. It's just not. It's the same thing as like video games, which they used to claim about video games, and then they
Yes.
claimed about
It'll make you
television.
shoot up your
I
school
I
if
literally
you
was
play
not
video
allowed to
games.
play, Nintendo because my mom was like, "You are going to be the Columbine shooter if you do that." Like,
Yeah.
um, but it's just like we see these moral panics all the time. What's true is that the way you use technology and the way you engage with media is very shaped by your emotional state. Just the way that if you're depressed and you want to go into your room and listen to like a Beatles album like 500 times in a row when you're, it's 1965 or something, and that at the time was very like stigmatized behavior. They were saying it was addicting. They were saying there's coded
Yeah.
messages. And then when television came along, it was like, well, the cartoons are super bright to keep kids addicted and whatever. And I'm not saying that that's not an issue. Like every form of media is built to be engaging. That is what music does, right? It keeps us listening, which there was also moral panic about music and novels. Like, I'm not arguing that, but the concept of addiction actually makes you have less control. And that's the study that like landmark study that I covered from Caltech that was so revealing, was this massive study that came out last year that showed that the more people believe they are addicted to technology, the less control they have over their use of it. So it's a
Mm.
narrative that really helps these big tech companies in two ways. If you are pushing the idea of social media addiction, never use that phrase, but if you're pushing that, you're helping these big tech companies in two ways. One, you're making it harder for yourself to moderate usage, because instead of treating it like a habit and trying to develop better habits, which is actually the opposite of sort of how you treat an addiction, you take this sort of you have this addiction framework, so you are less likely to moderate your own control. Second of all, if it's an addiction, then it's an illicit substance and it can be legislated, there's laws that we can use, laws that are like alcohol and cigarette laws, which are very authoritarian, which for good reason, right? Those are actual harmful substances. But if we treat speech and online content and media and we start regulating those like illicit substances, that's a huge problem. Especially because it's not a thing. Media addiction, and I know people will say, like, I mean, this is a big thing in the porn world, but like the majority of people that report porn addiction, there is no addiction to porn. They have very regressive views about their own sexuality. And so their usage patterns are actually completely in the normal realm, but they believe themselves to be addicted. And you see that a lot with this study confirmed it with social media as well, where people will be like, I'm addicted. And it's like, don't tell yourself, the more you tell yourself that, the less control you have.
Right.
And the more you're manufacturing consent for these really horrible laws. So just say, I have a really bad habit with using this phone. My media consumption habits are not great, and I'm going to take XYZ steps to change them. That is much a better outlook. What are you doing on your phone? Like if you're messaging friends or FaceTiming, or I use my phone on like CapCut to make like funny videos and stuff to send my friends all the time. Like that's a great creative use of my time. Like I always
Yeah.
have fun when I do that. And like I send it to my family members and stuff, and I make like edits of my nephews. That's great. That's also screen time. If sometimes I'm spending through it, that compared to yelling at someone on Twitter. Like those are both screen time and they're equal, but one is much more nurturing.
I want to like put a pin on this point again, that like a lot of this stuff from the Heritage Foundation, it seems like they're just fucking with queer kids and trans kids, because you're probably the only trans kid at your school, but if you go online, if you go on Discord, you could meet a community of other kids who feel the same way as you, and that's saves lives.
Which is the
Like,
whole
that's
reason they're trying to raise the
yeah,
social media age first to 16 and their
exactly.
long-term goal is 18, because they don't want these people exposed to gender stuff. Jonathan Haidt, who wrote The Anxious Generation, which is one of the most pseudoscience worst books ever. Like, I mean, he collaborates with the Heritage Foundation. He's on the board of Barry Weiss's fake university. He is a far-right reactionary who has said the most misogynistic stuff about liberal women. But he's also promotes the trans contagion idea, which is the idea essentially that
God.
like Instagram is turning your kids trans through content. And that we know that that's not true. We know that that's not how people become trans. And, you
Mhm.
know, he is the one that's primarily backing all of this stuff. He's the one that's getting on Ezra Klein that New York Times has promoted repeatedly. Like all, he has been so sort of ushered in, and I even see people on the left sort of support that. And it's like, guys, you're
Mhm.
falling for like a psyop, literally. All of this is just about like hate, and you don't fall for that stuff.
Okay, this is my most controversial thing. Don't be caught next to me while I say this. I think there's a really big problem. Everyone hates it when I say this. Transphobic people in the media, they don't go after pro-Israel ones as much. Shoot me, I said it. Shoot me, I said it.
Well,
That
that's
that guy
true.
is invited on Ezra Klein.
Well, he's a
That
Zionist. I mean, they're
that Bill
Zionists.
Maher has a fucking weekly TV show for years and years
Mhm.
and years, gets invited on Kara Swisher to debate
Mhm.
whether trans kids should exist, like invited by her.
Mhm.
And we never see these articles condemning, oh my God, I can't believe they're platforming this transphobe. You don't see it as much if they are aligned on Zionism or other things that they like.
Well, they're all part of the same sort of establishment power structures. Like, I mean, Scott Galloway, who is a raging, horrible misogynist, who is a huge hardcore Zionist as well, and
Um,
says a lot of just some of the most hateful misogynistic stuff messages that he gives to men. And he runs that podcast and makes tens of millions of dollars a year, with Kara Swisher. And yeah, they're never going to challenge power. I mean, they're both multi tens of millionaires, and they're not going to challenge the system. They exist to uphold the system. So they're going to engage with transphobes and other people that uphold the same systems, unfortunately. But it really is
mhm.
annoying. And you're totally right that there's a lot of overlap in those ideologies. There's a anti-trans hate group that I wrote about years ago back at the Washington Post in like 2023, I think. It was like anti-trans was like sort of their main thing, but it's so funny because they had this whole like issue agenda where I was like, oh, you can just see how like every evil issue basically overlaps.
I want to call out showbiz people and comedian people more and not have people be so afraid of like, oh, I don't want to offend them. It's insane Jimmy Fallon had Sam Altman on his show.
Well, Jimmy Fallon
That's
has like the worst. Didn't he have like Donald Trump? Like there's that famous clip.
yes.
Like he is always platforming, and he
And he
promoted
had Elon
crypto.
Musk. It's a late night. Yes, they had like an NFT commercial
Mhm.
basically with Paris Hilton on the couch. This is a late night comedy show. They should have stand-up comics, they should have musicians, they should have charming people and not people who are selling AI. Like, I don't even
No.
understand how these people get booked on that show.
I just think it's like I know I hate the traditional entertainment world. This is like kind of why, sorry, my like eyelashes are falling out. I think the traditional entertainment world is so corrupt and so bad, and I've always like never engaged with it intentionally because I think that those people are the worst. Like they will never speak out for anything. And so like I've always been more drawn to the internet. That's why I started on the internet and started covering the internet, is because it's like content creators also are the worst in different ways, but like there is something that's like anti-establishment to it because it is independent media fundamentally, and like Hollywood is just so, and like mainstream media, like you're talking about like NBC corporate sort of CBS News, like they just really are like complicit in the worst sort of things about our media ecosystem.
And my other one I always complain about, um, Andy Cohen. Andy Cohen was like a keynote speaker at an event teaching influencers how to combat images from Gaza, how to be like, no, that's fake.
Are you
And
kidding me?
we have no idea how much he got paid for doing that. That was not a year into the genocide, but almost a year into the genocide. But everyone wants to be on Watch What Happens Live. Everyone wants to be on Bravo. So, I mean, the amounts that people got mad over that, over mad over Riyadh, I feel like those are like kind of the same thing.
Yeah, yeah. It's so depressing. I don't know that much about the comedy world at all because I'm obviously like not in it, and it seems so hard, but it's like there's all these like political sort of a lot like play, like it's crazy. And I feel like you can be a lot more outspoken on the right than you can on the left, because like
Yeah, for sure.
But I hate that. And that's crazy. And, Andy Cohen's Andy Cohen, I guess. Like, he's not going to, he's not going to like put his neck out, I think, for anyone. He's a rich,
No,
executive.
he'll probably be coming out for Section 230 soon.
Oh, God.
And
Then I'll
say
really
that
go
he's being
ballistic.
such a good guy.
Yeah. I'll have to enlist some, housewives or something to come out against him.
Yes.
Convince him. Yeah.
Well, I like those I've Had It ladies. They got their start on Bravo.
They're
and now I
great.
don't know if they would be allowed on Bravo.
Oh, definitely not. Probably not now. Yeah. They're iconic. I love them. Yeah.
Mhm.
They're amazing.
Well, I don't want to take too much of your time. Is there anything else you want to plug? Everyone already knows who you are
Thank you
and
guys
knows
so
that you write
much.
the terrific user mag, but are there any videos or articles in particular you're excited about, or other people's stuff you want to plug?
I just will plug my Section 230 series on YouTube because I've been working so hard on it. The first episode just came out on my channel. It's called They're Trying to Kill the Internet, I think is what I like always beta test a million titles and weird thumbnails. But like it's I've been working so hard on it, and it'll give you like a primer on Section 230. So please watch it. I also have a live streaming channel as Taylor Lorenz live streams, and I've been live streaming about Joseph Gordon-Levitt. So yeah, check out my work, and I appreciate any feedback.
See you later.
Thank you. Have a good night. Thank you for having me on and listening. This is very cathartic, like therapy section to like talk about this stuff. So thank you. All right, bye guys.